Hey guys, so I hope you can hear me well. I have so many tabs, you guys. My computer, if it sounds like it's gonna explode, it's because I have tabs galore. And you guys can check in the description to see all the links. I'm gonna make this hopefully relatively short. Something tells me it's going to be about an hour stream over here. And what can I say? My streams usually go on pretty lengthy. Hold on, let me just make sure. One moment. Okay, so let's talk about this. So Canada Goose. Canada Goose, as you guys know, is a luxury. I consider it to be. I consider it to be a luxury brand for down coats. Now, when I was looking at the website today, I was curious to say, hey, what are they selling for this holiday season? I noticed that there's no fur. So if you look at this, right, you can see that there's no fur lining in any of the coats. See? The thing is that if you click on it, they do tell you it includes fur, but they don't have an image with the fur with the coat. And it got me thinking to myself, wait a second, I thought Canada Goose was phasing out new fur, however they were using reclaimed fur. Why are they not showing any fur at all? The reason why they're not showing it is because they want to make the animal rights people very happy. So when I heard about Canada Goose said that they weren't planning to buy any new fur. However, they're saying now that they're planning to go fur free by 2022. See, so the jackets all come with coyote fur lining over here. The reason why they have this is because it insulates you much better than not having any fur lining at all. And I'll talk more about it in a bit. See this? So they are not only going to stop purchasing all fur by the end of this year, they are not going to manufacture any coats with fur as a trim by 2022. Again, the fur is not there just for aesthetic reasons. It's there because it's insulating. If you are paying upwards of $1,500 for a coat, I really believe you want a coat that keeps you warm. My personal belief is if you are going, let's say, to a really frigid place, or if you are very susceptible to the cold, you should have the best coat you can. I don't think people should just kind of fall into this trap and say, well, animal rights people say that, fur is bad, so I'm just gonna pay $1,500 for a coat and just forego the fur because I listen to what those people say. You see? So hold up. Oh no. Oh no. I got the spin wheel of death for my thing. Okay, let's see. Come on. Come on. Come on. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is not good. I have an encoding overload over here. Great. No! My application is not responding now. Oh, I need a better computer, you guys. Okay, so I'm probably going to have to restart this stream, unfortunately. And you guys will see me in a bit. Oh, wait. No, wait. Okay, no, never mind. So, okay, false alarm here. I'm gonna have to try close tabs as quickly as I can. So what they were saying, right, is they said animal rights people and campaigners who have been against the use of coyote fur, they're really, really happy over here. But what the brand Canada Goose is saying is that they're trying to be more sustainable instead of doing this as a response to the lobbying of activists. My personal belief is I consider that to be BS because I was following Canada Goose for a number of years and I actually respected this, okay? What they were saying is they doubled down and they were saying, hey, we're trying to make a superior coat. We're trying to use things that we feel are the best materials. And this is the reason why we're doing it. They're not going out there and, let's say, using farmed coyote. What they're doing is they're buying coyote from trappers. And several states, including Utah over here, let's look into this. Utah actually has a predator control program to remove coyotes. So people are getting paid $50 to kill coyotes because they are considered to be an invasive pest and they do kill livestock and they're predators, right? But people, they tend to forget about this stuff. They think there are people out there who are killing coyotes just because Canada Goose is paying them off. That is not just it. There are bounty programs put out there by state governments trying to control the population. If you are not living in an area of coyotes, it is very easy to say, oh, coyotes look cute. Coyote looks beautiful. Let's protect them all. It is very out of touch with reality. So when I hear about these things, I like to do my research and figure out, okay, are coyotes actually considered to be a pest? Are states actually doing bounties? And if they are, I'm going to say Utah, they're doing this for a reason, right? They're not doing this because they have nothing to do. They realize this is a problem. Utah would not be paying $50 just because they have a lot of money to burn. They're doing this because they recognize that it is an issue. So let's go back over here. Hold on. Okay, so let's go back over here. And I want to talk about two sides over here. So what they're doing is that they're trying to make a more environmentally friendly jacket. And you can see they have certain jackets that are fur-free using recycled nylon. You guys know my thoughts about nylon. I'm not a big fan of going with synthetics because synthetics are not biodegradable. Now, with this, right, you can see that people are saying, hey, you know, PETA people are saying after years of eye-catching protests, hard-hitting exposés, celebrity actions, and legal battles, the company has finally conceded to stop using fur, sparing sensitive, intelligent coyotes from being caught and killed in barbaric steel traps. Now they're going to re-engage the company to push for an end. The PETA will now re-engage the company to push for an end to its use of feathers, which geese and duck continue to suffer for. You ever heard about that story? It says something like, if you give a mouse a cookie. Do you guys remember that? Like, if you give a mouse a cookie, this is what happens. This, in my opinion, is exactly what's going on. You decide to go fur-free. PETA is going to say, hey, we won. Let's go and make sure that they start removing all the down feathers in there. My personal thought, it's not good because once they start doing this stuff, it's not going to turn into Canada Goose. This is going to be like Canada Fake Goose or like Canada, made PETA happy kind of goose. And they're not going to stop because PETA feels like they won the fight against fur with Canada Goose, and now, in my opinion, they're not going to stop with the whole coyote thing, okay? So they won on the coyote thing. They're going to stop using the coyote faces. Now you're going to start seeing duck faces, in my opinion. They're going to say, oh, think about the poor little geese over here. And let's remember, right? People eat duck. People eat geese. I can't imagine everyone being all like, let's just raise some geese, get the feathers, and then throw away the meat. So I've always seen down feathers, goose feathers, as a byproduct because you want to use everything of the goose, right? If you're a farmer, you don't want to raise goose and then throw the meat away. So when I think about this kind of stuff, I just think like, gosh, now the down feathers are coming under attack. And poor Canada Goose. I think they thought they could silence PETA. Now 2022 is popping up. I think that PETA is going to say, we won half the battle. Let's try and have them be environmentally friendly. Let's tell them to use synthetics. And bye-bye Canada Goose. We'll see. We'll see if they follow suits and they decide to go purely with synthetics. If they do, I will put it out there. I will never, ever, ever, ever support Canada Goose because of that. Because I don't think a brand should compromise about what they perceive to be the superior jacket and then just fall in the synthetic line. Just because PETA came out there saying, hey, these are our friends, not fashion, right? Are these people who are protesting, right? have they actually tried to befriend a coyote? Why are they saying that they're our friends? They're saying that because they have humanized coyotes. And if you put a human being next to a hungry coyote, I just like to think, or a dog next to a little coyote, I think the coyote would eat the dog. It wouldn't be all like, oh, let's just be friends. So this is how PETA can get people to listen to them, and then they start saying things like, oh, if you wear fur, if you have down feathers, and this is one step away from hating on meat eaters, right? Because PETA is all about veganism. So if you are a meat eater or a leather wearer and things like that, you are considered to be an animal graveyard. And I've spoken about this before, right? And I understand what they're trying to do, but I think that they will not stop until they get their way. So let's talk about the bounties over here. So I wanted to share this, and I know people would say, oh, this goes against what you're saying about the bounties, but I feel like people should know about both sides over here. So some wildlife biologists, they call it to be inhumane and effective over here. You guys can read it. They say that it's common in Alberta and this area. I'm not even going to pronounce it. My pronunciation is like Saskatchewan, where predators are known to target cattle and sheep. So in Alberta alone, the cost of ranchers is estimated at more than $2 million a year. So this person says that they have no problem with killing problem predators that are threatening livestock, but he believes bounties are the way to go about it. They said they need to be removed, but they're not against killing them. So there are bounties over here. And this is in Canada, as you guys can see. And they're talking about the structure of the coyote populations. But see, the bounty is $15 per coyote, $500 per wolf. And this is a rancher. So this guy is a farmer. Now, if you are listening to PETA, this guy is a terrible person because he raises animals and then these animals are killed. My personal belief is this guy is not a bad person, okay? Farmers, I have a lot of respect for them. Agriculture people, it is not an easy way to make a living. You guys got to figure, right? If you are a small-time farmer, you have to make sure your livestock, your animals are taken care of. You want to protect them because you don't want a coyote eating them. And if the coyote, if it's between your sheep and the coyote, you're going to choose the life of your sheep over the coyote, right? So this guy has a herd of about 500 beef cattle. He loses about 6 animals per year to predators. Also a small herd of longhorns. See? So this guy, who's a farmer, who's actually raising animals, says that he feels that if they don't do a bounty, the numbers are going to explode and then the coyotes are going to keep going up. So he killed 77 coyotes on his property. He collected $15 each for 4 wolves that were stalking his cattle. And then you can see the coyotes actually killed one of his cows. See that? And he says he'll never get rid of it. And he says that coyotes are very smart. So this person, this researcher over here, says, oh, well, just leave it to the professionals. And some people have actually gone and poisoned coyotes. See? They said, if an animal causes a problem, we will send a wildlife control specialist, hire a local trapper, and remove the culprit. Now, how they are going to catch the coyotes, where they're going to move the coyotes, they don't say. But I imagine, let's say if they use a trap, they're going to either have to move it or they're going to have to kill it. Either way, these farmers, they're not going to say, hey, let's wait for wildlife control to come over. They're going to take matters into their own hands, and I'm not going to fault them for it, right? Again, I'm not a farmer, but I can imagine, yeah, these farmers, they don't want to lose their livestock to the coyotes, so they're going to say, we're just going to do it our way. We're going to, if we catch some coyotes harassing our cattle, harassing our livestock, we're going to dispatch them and collect the bounty. So I'm closing that tab over here. And yeah, it got me thinking about coyotes, fur, You guys remember? You guys saw this stream over here. 36 degrees, freezing in New York. Look, I'm all bundled up and I was still cold over here. Let's close this tab. And here's the difference between fur and no fur. I've showed you guys this link before over here. See? So if you have a fur-lined hood, you have fur and the cold wind goes around your head a lot more than if you don't. See? This is very narrow. Hood with no fur. See how close the wind is to your ears? Hood with fur has a barrier. So who used to do this kind of stuff? Or who does this stuff? The Inuits. You see this picture over here? This woman, second row? That's a lot of fur. You can see that they actually have fur lining. And Inuits, in case you're not familiar with it, these are people who live off the land. These are people who make their own clothing. They hunt and they skin, and they don't have the luxury of Amazon.com so much. They take a lot of pride in what they do, and this is a lot of handicraft that's passed on from generation to generation. So these people, right, a lot of this stuff is handmade. See, so because it wears down pretty quickly, they have to replace it every year. I don't know if the whole thing has to replace or only certain areas, but you figure, yeah, they're living their life in this stuff. It's not like they go home and then they're saying like, oh, okay, yeah, let me like thoroughly dry this on a heater. I mean, it depends, right? But I imagine it's pretty rugged what they're doing, and they're sitting down on it. Yeah, see all this stuff. So here's some backstory about this. Survival of a family depended on a large part of a woman's ability to produce warm clothing and pass her skills on to her daughters. So they got to prepare it. And then this is all the clothing. You can see the boots. All this stuff. Look at the hat over there. That looks very similar to my hat, except this is authentic fur. Mine's is a synthetic. Here's a woman over here, seamstress, teaching this in high school. Living off the land, you guys. This is great. And then you're probably wondering, why is this woman biting this stuff? She's biting it because, look at this. The skins had to be cleaned, dried, and then chewed. Chewed! Did you catch that? Chewed. To be soft enough to sew. So I'm not too sure if they're just chewing little sections of it or the whole thing. But either way, it's quite something. And then here's a man. He has a fur jacket, a fur coat actually. It looks like a big hoodie, right? And you can see it's caribou. So the way it's 2 layers. It's so cold, they have one layer where the fur is turned inside, so the fur is touching the body. And then the other side is the fur on the outside. And you can see that they also have, the way they pad it is they put dried grass or shredded hemp rope as an insulator. So this is stuff that is degradable. This stuff will decompose. And this is one of the reasons why when you see pictures of Inuits, you don't see like a bunch of trash behind them, because they live off the land. I'm sure that they do have plastic bottles, but I like to think they're not so much litter bugs like how Americans are. So all of these, all of these people, I have a huge amount of respect for them. But then the animal rights people came in. Oh my goodness. Okay, so see, remember that fur hood that I was telling you about? Remember how I told you like you want to have it big and wide? So these people, right? These people hunt seal, and they live partially off seal meat. They really like it. Now, this restaurant in Toronto, they serve dishes with seal meat. Again, this is stuff that indigenous Inuits eat. Now, when PETA got a wind of it, they made a petition and they said, oh, it's violent, horrific, traumatizing, and unnecessary. And then the Inuits, they're saying, hey, we live off of seal meat, we live off the land, they prepare furs and seal skins and all this stuff, right? They don't like the animal rights people because they see the animal rights people encroaching onto their livelihood. So the Inuits, because they're living off the land, because a lot of their stuff, from what I pick up, it's like they do a lot of handicraft and they want to sell the handicraft. The problem is that when they sell things like seal skin, which is banned in the United States, so I cannot import seal skin. You know, if I wanted to help these people out and say, okay, let me buy some seal skin mittens or something, I can't, because it's illegal to import it in. All the stuff, so it can't be exported to the United States. So these people, right, they have poverty and deprivation over here, and then you got Greenpeace over here, right? So they said that, where is it? Let's read it over here. Oh, here it is. The work of such activist organizations is crucial in educating the general public through events such as World Vegan Day and encouraging government policies that promote a more sustainable future for the planet. But with the change comes the responsibility, something that Greenpeace recognized in 2014, where openly apologized to the Inuit people of North America and Greenland for its roles of causing them 40 years of grief and hardship and frustration. So this was considered to be the, quote, Great Depression by the Inuit because there was a seal hunting ban in Europe. And because of all the stuff about seals, they couldn't import a lot of the seals, export a lot of the seal stuff, even though they were living off the land because of the public perception. So now Greenpeace halted its anti-sealing campaigns. But, however, PETA, and then you got the animal welfare people and the Sea Shepherd Conservation, they are still going against the Inuits. And I'm thinking to myself, look, all those people, and I shouldn't generalize this, but I feel like if you are living in a first world country, and if you have access to, let's say, a mailbox, access to a Target or something, you shouldn't be wagging your finger at someone who lives off the land. Because I guarantee you, if you dropped 100 vegans over to where the Inuits live and say, okay, live off the land, they're going to probably freeze to death pretty damn quickly. Because they're going to say, okay, well, if I want to stay warm, what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to hunt. They're going to have to get some warm clothing. There is no Amazon or no Walmart, I imagine, within walking distance very quickly that they can just pick up synthetic clothes, right? Because Inuits are pretty, it seems to be pretty remote. So all this stuff over here, right? And then you got the seal hunt over here. You guys can look it up over here. And I don't think the Inuits are doing things just, you know, I really believe that when they are hunting, they're used to doing this stuff because they have to do it not just as a hobby. This is how they live. So they want to make sure that they're killing these seals very quickly. Again, they eat the seals. They eat seal meat. This is how one of the things they live off the land. They cannot live off of goji berries and bananas and oranges and apples or pineapples, right? You don't have that in a frozen environmental. See, so you guys might have seen this footage over here where they were showing pictures of baby harp seals being bludgeoned to death. I've seen that footage too. And then this happened in the 1970s after public support, right? After people saw this footage, then the European Economic Community banned the imports of seal skins and fur for 2 years. And then afterwards, when people saw this footage, they're like, how could they bludgeon these seals to death? People just kind of went against this stuff. See? But the Inuits, they say you can't lump them in. What they do is they only hunt adult harp seals. And look at this. After the ban came into effect, the average income of an Inuit seal hunter fell from 54,000 Canadian to 1,000. And then nearly 18 to 20 Inuit villages almost lost 60% of their community's income. And it has some of the highest unemployment rate in Canada, also some of the highest suicide rates in the world. And then there was another second seal ban from the EU in 2010. It made it worse. And this is a good one over here. There's a professor, right? He says, I want to be cautious for saying this. This is not true of all vegans and environmental organizations, but I do think organizations like PETA, IFAL, Sea Shepherd have greatly profited from the shocking and spectacular images of seals being clubbed to death. And this is my problem here. Like, when people see these images, they also donate to nonprofits like PETA and Sea Shepherd. And I'm not saying I'm against these places, like these groups, 100%. But what I'm saying is that there's things that they're out of touch with. And I think it's highly flawed to say, let me prioritize the rights of an animal over the well-being of a human being, especially one who lives in a remote area. You talk about people's livelihoods over here, and I almost get the feeling it's like, well, just let them starve to death. Well, just let them kill themselves, because if they want to live like that, that's their problem, right? If they want it to be better and be more modern, then they could move from their communities, but it's their fault that they're so backwards, and they're just so they're just so out with the times. That's a thing that I hate about that I'm picking up from this kind of vibe. It's almost like they don't think about the impact on the community, and they just focus on the animals so much. See? And then, of course, the Inuits, they still do a seal hunt and things like that. They're trying to feed their community. So you can see, this is how they cook, right? This is how they live off the land. Look at that. 7 out of 10 preschoolers in the area live in food insecure households, often going to sleep hungry and missing out on essential nutrition. Very sad. Look at this. So there was this one person who was a singer, and then she basically said F PETA, and she supported the seal hunt because, remember, she's an Inuit, right? And PETA responded with a statement saying she was ill-informed and she would, quote, read more. Oh, that's so offensive. That's so gross. That is so gross. And this is what she said. I was born and raised in Nunavut. I know how the system works, how people harvest meat, and how they process it. The world is burning up for a reason because people have totally forgotten how to respect the earth, the land, ourselves, and each other. The idea some people can't comprehend is that we, the Inuits, might have the key to how to respect animals and how to respect the land. We're all on the same side here. And this is the end point, right? We have the right to hunt. We have the right to use renewable resources to feed our families. We have the right to survive. Now, let's talk about this really quickly, right? Are seals endangered? No, they're not endangered. They're thriving. So it's not like the ban is put in place because there's low seal numbers. I had to look into it because I thought maybe they're very endangered. And if that's the case, I can understand why people are against hunting seals. However, because they're not, it's basically just like an emotional response. That's the way I take it. For instance, right? This nutria rat, and I've spoken about this, they have a bounty on them. I have never ever heard anybody from PETA going over to the Louisiana marshlands and saying we need to save the nutria rat, right? Like, nobody talks about it because the nutria rat is not cute. Look at these orange teeth and everything like that. I mean, these things are terrible for the environment. People are using, if I remember correctly, over 80% of them are just being harvested for the bounty, and the fur and the meat is just discarded. The fur can be used for nutria coats. This used to be considered to be a luxury fur, I think back in the 30s or 40s or so. But now, right, nobody talks about this stuff. I would be totally for nutria rat being used for hats, coats, all this stuff. If we are going to cull these animals for a bounty, my personal feeling is that I really do believe that we should have these rats, instead of them just being thrown away, harvest it, make small businesses in Louisiana, bring back tanning, bring back furriers in that area, and then export it like to the East Coast or something, and label it as a patriotic fur. If they ever did that, right, I would be 1,000% in support of wearing nutria rat. But PETA isn't for this because the nutria rat is not cute. So So they can be all up in arms about the seals and things like that because seals are cute and nutria rats aren't. The bottom line is that nutria rat is an animal just like a seal is an animal as well. So let's talk about the Inuit crafters over here. So these people are trying to sell their handicraft. As I mentioned to you guys, they do eat seal. So seal skin is a byproduct of it. And they can't sell it on Facebook because it's banned. See? So all these, these people are trying to make some money and they can't. It's like, I feel bad for them. It's like, you think the internet would allow them to make money, but yeah, they can't. So let's look at this. So this woman, right, this was back in 2017 over here. Proud Inuit woman. She posted a photo in a seal skin coat. Remember, for Inuits, they eat seal. They utilize everything that they can. So the skin is a byproduct of it. It's kind of like eating beef and then having a leather wallet, right? It's a byproduct of the meat industry. So Greenpeace, look at this. If Greenpeace wants Inuit cooperation defending non-renewable natural resources, they should assist in dismantling the seal ban over here. Apologies are not enough for plunging Inuit into poverty. Greenpeace should be held accountable for our socio-economic state because of the ban. See, by banning seal products, Inuits get cornered into non-renewable resource development because we need to pay rent and live like everyone else. So this is, and I agree with this is a traditional and sustainable livelihood. Again, seals are not a rarity. They're not listed as an endangered species. And this is a quote: "The Arctic is a vast place. Groceries are terribly expensive. Many live in poverty. We have no resources other than non-renewable energy. We need to export something. We need to live to pay rent." What are people recommending that they do to pay rent? Right? What are they going to export? Their best thing to export, in my opinion, if you want to go into things that they already are using, would probably be furs, seal skin, that kind of stuff. But however, because of animal rights, they can't do that, especially because there's a ban. So see all this stuff? Seal skin have been used by Aboriginal people for millennia to make waterproof jackets, boots, and to make fur coats. See? Wikipedia over here. The Inuit, indigenous to Canada and Alaska, argue that banning seal products is detrimental to their way of life. However, there are many objections to the use of sealskin furs and pelts. It's illegal to hunt seal in many countries, particularly young seals. And you can see it's not, but it's not endangered. It's an emotional response. And here's an Inuit woman over here who uses fur. She collects roadkill. And I know this is going to trigger people, but let's talk about it, okay? If you see roadkill, should you let it decompose on the side of the road, or should you try to harvest the fur? In my opinion, there was nothing wrong with harvesting fur off a roadkill. Because if you call, let's say, some kind of agency to pick it up, they're just going to throw it away, right? So what do they do with all this roadkill, right? She actually asked. They just dump them. I know it's happening across Canada. So this woman, she skins the roadkill because they're already dead. And you can see she's made mittens out of them. So she actually opens up her home every Saturday to people if they want to learn about Inuit cultures and traditional skills. So she tells people how to recycle things. She tells them to find old leather jackets for coats and turn them into anything, turn them into mitts. See, this is not a big corporation. This is a bunch of women who are just using things that are around them. They're learning handicraft, and I can get behind that. And look what they eat. They eat traditional foods such as frozen fish, seal, and caribou while they learn to sew. So not only is she teaching people about how to make these items, she's also introducing people to how the Inuit lives, what they eat. And I think it's great. And this is a good quote. People think we're garbage pickers. No, we just learn how to survive without being dependent on something or without spending thousands of dollars for something we can do ourselves. Here's a woman over here, 96-year-old seamstress. She wants to keep traditional clothing alive. Look at this woman. So she said that her mom gave her her old parka and she cut it up. She made a pattern. She made some pants for her sister. So she actually skins animals herself. Look at that. 96-year-old. What are most 96-year-olds doing right now? Not skinning animals. She looks great for her age too. She also shows off traditional clothing. Remember how I told you that there's some coats where the fur is on the inside? Yeah. So the fur is facing her and the skin is on the outside. And she made it in the 1970s. Like, wow. And she also teaches the youth how to do this as well. I love this part. Traditional clothing can be helpful for the future of our youth to make sure their brains are being used for what it should be, not for drugs and alcohol. That's true. If you are sewing stuff, you're not going to have time to go and do drugs and alcohol. You're going to be repairing your stuff. You're going to be learning about your culture, living off the land. It's great. You know, I really do believe strongly in preserving techniques and cultural practices. So she's teaching the youth. She's always teaching. What's important for me is to keep our traditional way of making clothes alive. We should never forget this. We should never forget the ancestors that made us survive to today and the skills that they have. So when people, they shun about, you know, furs and seal skins and things like that, I think to myself, they want this stuff to die out. They just want to tell people, yeah, don't try to do this yourself, because that's cruel, right? That's backwards. Just buy it off. Just buy it off Amazon. Buy a jacket from Walmart or something. And it's so out of touch with reality. These people, if they have a rip in their jacket, you know they're going to repair it themselves. And then here's some seal skin clothing. And then again, right? The Inuits say that they only target non-adult, non-endangered species. So you got Native Canadian hunters who say they want to get the ban reversed, but then animal rights people such as PETA and the Humane Society, who I imagine aren't living off the lands, they're against it. And they kill a lot of seals, you know, in Canada, 20 to 25,000. So what they're doing is that they're not using all the skins for products. What they're doing is they're eating it. So the seal skin is a byproduct of the hunt. So imagine, right, if you're hunting seals to eat and you can't sell the skin, then that's losing an additional revenue source. And that's what's happening. You think the Inuits are burning through 25,000 seal skins a year? No, I don't think so. And then here is an article